everyone. Welcome back to TomGirl. This is episode 48 today, and I'm so excited for this one. It's about the adventure to Havasupai Falls with my fellow adventurer, Chloe West. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh. How I felt. Don't wake me now. Oh my gosh. All right, one of the best trips of my life. Just got back on Sunday. We're going to talk all about Havasupai Falls. Hey guys, I'm JJ Jurgens. You can follow me at JJ Jurgens. And I'm with fellow adventurer Chloe West. Thanks for joining me, Chloe.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about the Havasupai trip.
Yeah. All right, you got it from two different perspectives because we went at two different times. So we're going to share all about it with you guys and tell you everything that you need to know because we've had so many people ask, how'd you get your permit? What do you do? So we are just going to break it down from the early stages to what you need to know to pack and all of that. So this should be a really fun one, and we have lots of pictures from our trip there too, so you can get a good idea of what to expect and what you're going to see, and your mind will be blown.
Yeah, I agree. It's so stunning, and I feel like how beautiful our pictures are don't even do it justice.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing. I don't even remember the first time I saw a picture of the place. Did you remember? When you did?
I don't, but I had wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, which I've still never been to. Mm-hmm. And then someone told me about Havasupai, and then once they told me about it, I was hooked. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get it off my mind, and it took me 2 years to be able to get my reservation and finally go, but it was worth it, and I really want to go again.
Yeah, same exact thing with me. I think it must have been Instagram, I'm guessing, is where I probably saw it, because I know that's where they say a lot of the popularity has come from, and viral videos on YouTube and stuff. But it's funny, I had it as my screensaver, you know, on my phone, like forever, and I'm like, someday, and so it was great, because I keep seeing that all the time.
But that's a good goal setting idea.
Because it plants in your mind without you kind of even knowing it each day.
That.
Yeah, I know.
Steal that.
When I came back, I was like, and that was a great feeling for me too. I was thinking, I'm like, wow, I can actually replace this now, like with my own pictures, you know. But then I'm like, okay, what picture is going to go there next?
Yeah, what's your next adventure?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because after coming back from this, I was reading about the wave, and they said that that's the next one that is really, really hard to get a permit for. Too, I believe it's in Utah, or like, don't get me if I'm wrong, but and it's this whole gorgeous like canyon rock thing that's formation. So if you hashtag the wave on your Instagram, some really pretty photos.
I've done a Utah road trip. That's what I did the year before when I first tried to go to Havasupai, and it didn't work. I did a big road trip through Utah all the way to Colorado and back through Utah, and did Dead Horse Point, did the Arches, did the Big Mittens in Utah. So that's another good one. But the wave, I have never heard of that. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, because you said it took you 2 years, and that's the same amount of time it took me. So tell them a little about your process of how you finally got in.
Well, so the first time I wanted to go, I just called a month before thinking, a month, that's plenty of time for a camping reservation. And finally calling, they didn't have an online reservation system yet. I finally get through after days of calling, and the man is like laughing at me, and he's like, it's April, like, no. And I'm like, it's for 2 people. How do you not have a reservation for 2 people during the week? And he's like, absolutely not. We're sold out for the rest of the year. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, you'll have to call back next year. And I'm like, when? When do you take reservations? February 1st. In my calendar immediately, February 1st. Finally, the whole next year rolls around. So, and now at this point, I've seen that they have online reservation system set up for the first time ever. And I had it in my calendar. I got the alerts, was ready to go. And yeah, I'm driving to work. 7 a.m. hits, I pull over, and I'm on my phone trying to get the reservation. And I originally wanted to go in March, at the end of March. And I had it, and I had the reservation. And then when I went to pay, their site crashed. And by the time I reloaded it and got back on and went to my date again, it wasn't there. It was already taken up. So within that short amount of time, the March dates I wanted were gone. And then I started kind of panicking a little bit. And then I was looking in the summer in June, and those were already taken. And then it was either like July, like super hot, or since it opened February 1st, President's Day weekend. And since we're in LA, and thankfully the guys who I were going to go with, I knew that they were already thinking about going camping President's Day weekend. So I just booked it without even calling them. And that's why we went so early in the year, and it's much colder than when you went. And so that's how we finally got it, though, is just, and I was on my phone, I was on my computer at that point. I was trying however I could to just book a reservation.
Yeah, very similar for me too. I wanted to go 2 years ago, and same thing was, I had a friend who I randomly met on a flight to Austin one time. We've just been friends ever since. We were both on the phone, like trying to get in, and just nothing. And we tried for days too, and finally we're just like, yeah, I don't think we're not gonna get in. So a year goes by. So then this year, same thing, get up, and that's when he had found out then that there was online reservations. Like, we didn't know about it either. So this next year we were ready online and both of our phones. So he's in Phoenix. And one thing I want to note, if you're in LA too, because what I almost messed up is it's 8 a.m. Arizona time. So we have that, they don't have daylight savings time. So I almost was going to be, would have been late, but he's like, oh yeah, I remember daylight savings. I was like, oh yes. So anyway, we were both. And then finally, we never got through on the phone, but I finally got through online. So I suggest you guys try online. And I do have those websites. It's just havasupai.reservations.com. And then the calendar shows up. But same as you, we had dates panned out because there was 8 of us going, and then they just started like disappearing, like every one we wanted to get. So I didn't think we were going to get anyone either. So then I had a midweek, a Wednesday come up, and I'm like, you have see that time ticking down. I'm like, do you think people can do it? He's like, just book it. We'll figure it out. Because I was too afraid to let it go. Because I'm like, well, if I let this go and another one doesn't come up. So advice for that is you're probably going to have to take whatever one finally pops up for you and you're getting, are available to book. I would just book it.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember too that it is a Native American reservation. So the guys working in the office are are 3 people, and I'm pretty sure those are the only Native Americans who work in that office, is those 3 people, and they just got this internet system up to make reservations. So it's gonna crash. The phones are gonna be booked. Like, for the amount of people who are trying to go now, and for how popular it is, and they only have so many campsites, and there is a hotel there, but there's only so many rooms. I think that's important to remember, because
for sure,
it's like. And it's kind of part of the draw, It's like a little exclusive. It's hard to get. But yeah, that's important to remember, because it's just those 3 people running that whole system.
And I like that, because I felt like there was a good number of people when we were down there. It didn't feel like completely overcrowded or too many felt. So I like that they're keeping it, to a certain amount of people. And once you see where the village is too, you'll be amazed that there's even internet service down there. Cause, it's like, well, there. All right, so let's start talking about how long it took, how you got there. Like your process because you drove from LA.
So we drove. So we were going President's Day weekend. Originally, similar to yours, we had one night booked. So we were going to hike in, camp that night, and then hike out the next day. I messed up booking that because I just wasn't thinking about how physically tired we would be from that. But we ended up being able to extend, which was great. So Friday night, we drove from LA, and we drove all night. So there were 4 of us total in our group. We drove in a van together. Those 3 guys that I went with go backpacking and camping together all the time. And they were ready to switch off driving, where I'm a teacher, and I'm a drama teacher. And that Friday night, I happened to have a show. So we couldn't even leave LA early because of me. So we couldn't leave LA till 9 p.m. And so I had been up all day working the show. I was exhausted. I went straight to bed. The dudes drove all night. They were amazing. But it was about an 8-hour drive. And driving at night, it is really, you're on old Route 66. Once you get through, you drive from LA through Vegas, and then you hit, I want to say it's Kings, is the like last big town in Arizona, and then after that you're just on old Route 66 the whole way until you hit the Native American reservation road. And old Route 66 is just a trucker's road. That's it. And I'm pretty sure it's Kings is the last big stop, and that's like the last stop for food, the last stop for gas. And that's really where you got to like fuel up and get everything. And we arrived at the starting point of the hike at 6 a.m. And so we just parked. Parking was actually difficult for us. I don't know how it was for you guys.
Luckily it wasn't too bad for us at all.
It was hard for us to find parking even that early. Because you leave your car there. So it's everybody who's already there and then everybody who's waiting to get in. So we had to park pretty far away, and it was so cold. I did not anticipate how cold it was going to be that morning. You start on top of the cliff, and then so for us starting on top, it was so windy, and it was just rough. You know, you like don't sleep well in that car ride. And we just went straight through, so we didn't get like a full night's sleep. So it was tough getting there, but I'm glad we did it the way we did it. The guys miraculously, like, no complaining, just did what they had to do. Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So for a lot of people, some people go through Phoenix is a good way to do it, or Vegas. So from Vegas, it's about 3.5 hours. From Phoenix, it's about 4.5 to the trailhead. So what our crew did, which was a cool way too, we had a bunch of people meeting in Phoenix. So we drove about 2 hours to Seligman, and we stayed there, and it was on the Route 66 as well. So there's a couple of small little hotels there, and then like a pizza place and a bar. And so we were able to, we slept about 5 hours at a hotel there, and then it's about 2.5 hours from the trailhead. So that was one way if you do want to get a good night's sleep and some food in before, because we were going to sleep in our cars at the trailhead too and just like go right in. But our leader ended up having up this idea, and we're like, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So that's an option if you'd like to do that before you drive into, because it was but we both said a good thing, you have to make sure you get gas in the nearest town outside, because it was something we didn't plan on, and I didn't read enough, and I was thinking as I was there, I was like, wow, so glad I had just almost enough gas in the car, because if you get stranded on that road, I think what was that? Indian Route 18. It is a 64-mile road to the hilltop, so you got to be prepared for that.
And I think it's Havasupai, the actual town. So the whole town, even for the natives who live there, they have to hike in, or the helicopter that runs, I think, 2 days a week. It's the helicopter barely runs. So they either hike in, or all the things for that town get helicoptered in. And so there's nothing at the hilltop. There's a porta potty and this station that you check in at if you're gonna mule your stuff in, and that's it. So it's about an hour drive to the trailhead on this Indian road that has nothing. But even before the Indian Road, when you're on Old Route 66, there really isn't much. And you really have to plan gas, because you have to think you get gas and then you drive at least an hour on this Indian Road, and then you park your car, and then you're going to drive back another hour. So the gas thing can be tricky for sure, because, you don't want to risk it. And that's a planning thing that you want to make sure. I remember reading on a blog that said the last gas station was in Truxton, but I don't trust that. Gas station was so small that I didn't even want to stop there. It's really in that like Kings area that is like the big, where they actually have fast food, lots of truck stops, lots of gas stations. That's where I would recommend filling up, because the Truxton one, especially if it's like 4 or 5 in the morning when you're heading in, I don't know if I would trust it. It's that old 66 road is for sure an old truckers road, and it's a little hairy.
There was like a themed hotel next to us too, and we all kind of said like, I was glad we had a group, because I think if I was solo at that point, I would maybe not have gotten much sleep. Just a little. You have to be careful. Just to point out real quick, the rates for staying the night. If you do 2 days and 1 night, it's $140.56. 3 days and 2 nights is $171.12. 12 cents, or 4 days and 3 nights is $201.67. So clearly it's a little cheaper the more nights you stay. And, but I definitely recommend. I only got the one night in. I wish I would have been able to stay 2 and come out, because I think one more, so that you do have that day to kind of rest in between and hike to some of our other falls if you'd like to.
Yeah. And what happened to us, so because I planned the way you did, just one night and hike out the next day. When we got into town to check in, I just asked the ladies at the check-in station if we could extend a night, and they were very flexible. And then that's also where I asked if we could mule our packs out, which they also did. So in case you don't plan correctly, I think probably unless it's super, super busy.
Yeah.
They're going to let you extend.
Yeah, they let us do that too. We actually got through before we were leaving Phoenix. That's when we realized some of us thought it was 2 nights and some of us thought the reservation was 1 night. So we actually called and got through, which I didn't think we'd get through. And they did approve it over the phone too. So you can always try that if you want to kind of switch things up. And we also should say the first person that calls in is kind of your lead person. So they can book for the rest of your group. So your whole group doesn't have to call in. You can have one person who then pays for everybody.
Yeah, I think it would be really impossible to try to do it any other way.
Yeah. And they do have a maximum 4-day stay, but there's nothing against they say you can book as many of those maximum 4 days as you want. Good luck getting that, but they said if you somehow can get 8 in a row then back to back, you are able to do that.
Oh, wow.
I know, I read that on the site and I was like, that's probably got to be about impossible, but maybe.
And they have bathrooms, but they don't have showers, you know? I don't know. Unless you're going in the water and that's your shower.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 days is a long time to backpack. That's a lot of food you have to prep.
That is, for sure. Well, let's start. We have some pictures, so I think we got a few of them up there. We're going to start just kind of taking you through the trail and what you would see as you would start. So this first one is us. I think there was one on top. Is number 1 photo in there? Oh, one. That is the number 1. I'm sorry. All right. I've selected. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is towards the beginning. We're actually down through the first mile at this point to where it starts to level out. So the first 1.5 miles is kind of a lot of switchbacks and steps downs and some cliffs.
I think the first mile is 1,000 feet. A 1,000-foot drop in switchbacks.
Yeah.
I think that's how steep it is. I think it's a 1,000-foot drop, switchbacks the whole way. So the hike in, it's about 10 miles to the city, or not the city, to the town. Is what we should really call it, to Havasupai Village. And then from there, your campgrounds are 2 miles after that. And so it's about a 12-mile hike in. However, hiking in, you are going downhill, and then it's a slight downgrade most of the way. Once you get down that 1,000 feet, it's pretty flat, I would say.
I think so too.
Yeah, so even though for me that was my first backpacking trip, actually carrying a large pack this size, and I was really nervous, but it was doable. I trained. I don't know if did you train at all?
I didn't train because I stay pretty active and I hike a bunch just locally, but I've never really, same as you, haven't done a backpacking trip before.
I trained carrying, this is so silly, but yeah, so I hike, but I was so scared about the pack and the weight, and I read Wild, the Cheryl Strayed book, so I'm I don't want to be her, I need to train, and so I hiked Los Leones, which is the Santa Monica Trail. It's about 8 miles, and I would carry a 1 gallon thing of water in my pack, and that was my training. But it was good. Sadly, my pack was a men's pack, and so it was too big for my body. I couldn't get it tight enough around my hips. So that's the one thing for next time, that I need to get my own small pack that fits me, because it was I had to kind of jerry rig it to make it tighter for me.
Yeah, that was, I did read about that before. So I highly recommend going into REI if you've never done a backpacking thing, because I finally did that. I of course put off getting my stuff together till the last minute, but I was so glad I went in there because they are so helpful. And that was the main thing he said. He's you'll be miserable if it's not right. And this is where it's supposed to sit. And they put, they have 20-pound bag weights in there. So they put it in my pack and let me walk around the store store, and then they would adjust me and be like, oh, it's supposed to be this way or feel it. So I highly recommend doing that if you've never done it before, because it was definitely very helpful. And there's one back, when you don't know what you're choosing, I liked this one, but then when I put it on and walked around the store, it didn't fit right on my back. And then when I would try a different one, then I was like, oh, then you can start to see the difference of which one is designed for you, and especially for women too, because I think they different body types and stuff too, and if getting the right pack will make you a lot happier.
Torso size they can adjust, and not just how tight, they can really adjust how tall it is and where it can sit. So I would recommend that. There were certain times coming down that I had to readjust a little bit. But then coming in, it's really beautiful.
Oh, so stunning. So one of the, I think we should, there's mules coming down. Those are the you can have your packs brought in on those and out if you don't want to carry them.
And also the mules there have the right of way.
Yes,
that's important too, because I think they'll get mad at you. They'll definitely yell at you, but they don't want you to hike with headphones, because they want you to be able to hear the mules, because the mules do not stop. So you are supposed to get out of the way of the mules as they are coming down the trail.
And they book it. I was so amazed by how fast they go, down and up. I was like, whoa, it's powerful.
Yeah, and with full packs on too.
I mean, they had coolers, they had all kinds of stuff on them. I was like,
I know, people brought in coolers. We packed our own food in.
Yeah.
We didn't have coolers, but knowing that you can mule in a cooler is, kind of changes the way you can really do it if you want to do it like that. But we should say there is no campfires allowed. So even if you bring in food on a cooler, you're still cooking everything on a stove. And so those camp stoves are usually this big, and usually the size of this microphone, actually.
Yeah.
So there's not much that you can. It takes a long time to make dinner.
Yeah, we did the MREs, and those were great. And then you just need to be able to boil water, and we had all different flavors of those, and I was highly impressed because I never had those before either. And they all was like, these are actually pretty tasty.
Yeah, they have a lot of flavors for those.
Okay, sounds good. These are the last two pictures, kind of walking in before you get to the village. It's just stunning. I mean, you just look around you, and the rocks are incredible, and the colors as it changes as the sun comes up in the sky. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and
this is yours.
Yeah, and that's us hiking in. So you hike down 1,000 feet, and then you're hiking in. You kind of are hiking deeper into this canyon, is essentially what it is. So you'll see these amazing red rocks walls as you just get deeper and deeper, and then you're getting to the village when you hit the water. It's there's way more trees, and then there's a little kind of brook, and then that's when you're I'm a mile away, we're so close.
Yep, and you get really, really excited. So next up on the pictures is the village. So this is what the village looks like. And then there's also so then that's where the store is. So there's the store. So in there you can get frozen Gatorades, which were all frozen Gatorades, but they are genius because that's what I had to write as soon as I got out, and it was so delicious. But chips, pickles,
everything. Yeah. When I stopped at that store, they also have very famous burritos there, breakfast burritos. So I'm so glad we stopped at that store to get directions to our check-in spot when we first got there, and I'm so glad we did, because the man who owns the store, his family runs the store and then the breakfast place. We kind of were chatting with him and friendly, and the day we hiked out, it was pouring rain, and we were making a last-minute decision to either run for the canyon and take shelter in the canyon, or I was like, guys, remember there's that last store. We haven't made it to the store yet, but that's the last thing. That's our last chance to hide and stay, wait out the rain. And we did. We went in there, and it was warm, and they had coffee, and we got burritos. And we stayed out the rain and bought ponchos there as well. They had ponchos. I think they even have hand warmers if you go when it's cold. Yeah, they have like minimal supplies. Like I think I bought the last poncho.
That's
But yeah, like that store saved us on our way out.
Yeah, the store is so great because like now I know, like I packed the 3-liter water bladder, and that would have been enough. Like I also on the way down had another water and different things. I didn't know how much water I would need to pack. So I think that's what you can get by with, and then until you get to the store and refuel, and then. Yeah, that way try to save yourself because every little weight in that pack matters.
Everything matters. Yeah, we'll talk about our packing list later.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that all matters.
Yeah. So as you keep going, there's where you start to see more water, and you're making your way now after the village.
Is that Navajo or is no wait, is that a
I
fall?
don't know for sure which one this one was.
Kind of looks like Navajo, but I'm not sure.
Not yet. It's on the
yet.
way to have us. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So here is where the Havasupai Falls. So this is the first thing, peeking over from the top of the cliff, looking down and seeing, and you see the people hanging out in the pools there, and it's just then you round a little bit to the left, and when you go to the left, then you actually see the full waterfall, which should be the next one.
Yeah, and what's cool too is the village. So you get to the village, and then 2 miles away, you hit Havasupai Falls, which is where the campgrounds are.
Mm-hmm.
And the campgrounds it's great. They made the campgrounds close to the, like namesake falls, which I think was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so, our campsite was actually pretty close to it. So we kind of got to go there and hang out and spend time, and that was awesome.
Yeah. And then, there's you at the top there.
Yeah, so that's like right where that other picture was, kind of looking down, is you come from the village and you are actually on top of the falls, and then you hike on down, and that's where you saw everybody in the pools, and you can see I'm pretty bundled up. It was like 50 degrees most of the time when I was there, so I didn't really take off my jacket or hat too much.
Yeah. There's the side angle of what you see. It's just amazing. So that's the most kind of iconic falls that you see in all the Instagram shots, and just so beautiful. Then if you go further down, this was kind of great. You have to zoom in there. There's actually a picnic table right next to the falls in this rock formation, which I just thought was fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
and what I love too is every campsite has a picnic table, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And they have picnic tables in the water too. At Havasupai Falls, they had it, and Mooney Falls has them too. Yeah. They have the picnic table in the water, which, if you're there when it's hot, especially in July or August, oh my God, that has to be heaven to just be able to sit there. And I also found a lot of tree stumps that they had placed there too, so people could sit or stand, and you're really enjoying this, like, being in the water.
Yeah, it's great. We had a lot of people too that packed like cheap floaties, so that's something I would do if I went back too in the summer. It's just like a little one you got at Walgreens or wherever that's really light, but they were just chilling out, floating for the day,
awesome.
and the things. So it was cool too. This is just in the morning, the day that I was leaving. It was cool to see the mist coming off of the falls as well. And I think the next up, this next one is there's about 0.5 miles from there, from Havasupai Falls, is Mooney Falls. So what's fun about this one is you'll see that first sign says descend at your own risk, own risk. And that cannot be more true. It was incredible. I would definitely recommend really good, no flip-flops. You need to bring like water shoes, definitely for this, because as you round the corner to the right there, you're actually going through, and we can kind of roll through the photos now so they can see, there's like a cave you go through. There is, so this is part of the cave, and then there's chains into the rocks. You go down that chute of the cave, and then there's chains on the rocks and ladders, and you have to work yourself down the ladders, and it's very slippery rock.
The mist is coming from the falls, hitting the rocks. So the rocks are not only wet, they're also, years of having water hit them, are very smooth. And remember, you're on a Native American reservation, so the natives have carved this out for you to be able to do it, but it's not well maintained. The ladders are not actually connected to the rock, because my friend who was going down in front of me leaned back and the ladder came with him. But he was able to like go forward fast enough. It is very, very scary. You go down, extremely steep, and it's the only way to go up as well. Mm-hmm. And so you have to play this game with people. It's kind of like a whole group goes down and then a whole group goes up, because right at the end there, you need both hands. I was holding my water, and I ended up having to toss my water down because you really need both hands to get down. And it's tricky. Yeah, I actually wore my hiking shoes, but had my water shoes with me, knowing that I was going to go into the water once we got down there. But yeah, it's so slippery. It was. I don't think I would do. I want to go back to Havasupai, but I don't think I would do Mooney Falls.
That's too much. Yeah, I loved it, but I ended up clipping my water on. We had a little, fanny. I recommend taking a fanny pack for that day, or something that you can at least put everything in, so you have both of your hands free, because it's just too easy to slip quickly. So, but then this is the enjoyment, because this is our crew like down inside the falls, and there's also there's a rope swing in there that I think we'll show in one of the pictures too. So I didn't see that. So you can swing. I had some video. I think it's posted on the Instagram, so you can actually swing into the water and let go, and just kind of hang out.
Yeah, and Mooney Falls is
there. It is. You can kind of see. It's hard to see in this photo, but it's like right there in the middle on the tree, hanging on the tree. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Mooney Falls is taller than Niagara Falls.
Yeah, I think it is 200 feet high.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Mooney Falls, it was beautiful, but getting down there is hairy, but you can still see it if you don't go down. They like kind of right before you start where that sign is, you can still get a good view of it. For those who do not want to risk it going down, because it is scary, and there is no other way.
Yeah,
we hiked. So past Mooney Falls is Beaver Falls, and we continued hiking trying to get to Beaver Falls, but it was actually getting really late, so we didn't finish the whole way there, because it is about 2.5 to 3 miles past Mooney Falls. And we didn't make it all the way, but while going, I was like, there has to be another way to get to Mooney Falls. Like, there has to be. That's just the fastest way. And there really isn't. I really looked.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we didn't make it to Beaver Falls either. And if I go back, I really would like to do that, because I was also reading and then if you keep going, then you actually hit the Colorado River.
Yeah.
So next time, if you have more time, I think that'd be fun to just spend that another day, then really going and exploring that, and then working your way back.
In the morning.
Yeah, they said that the trip trail to Beaver Falls was just like stunning along the way, and I think there's some the areas where people are walking through water like along the trails and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I should have sent you that picture. To get to Beaver Falls, there's another reason why a lot of people don't do it is you have to do a river crossing, which if you've never done a river crossing is so awesome. It is like out of your Oregon Trail fantasies where you're like, I'm fully dressed and I'm gonna walk through this river. And so I'm 5'2", and it came up the river at its highest. Like, I tried to kind of like, you see where you have to cross, and you can kind of be like, okay, maybe I'll walk over there, maybe I'll walk to the left a little bit. So wherever I thought it was the best way to walk through. It came about mid-thigh for me. Okay. And I had a fanny pack on, so I just had to hold up my fanny pack and you just kind of got to hold everything above you. But yeah, it's fine. So you actually have to do a river crossing at least twice. At the second one is when I was like, it was getting so late, and I'm like, and you're in the canyon, and I was just, I didn't want to get stuck out there. I didn't want to have to hike back the Mooney Falls thing in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
We had to turn back. We didn't make it all the way there. But, yeah, we had to do at least 2 river crossings. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, the water for us, even though it was about 50 degrees outside, the water is 50 to 60 degrees, even in the winter. It stays pretty warm. So doing the river crossing wasn't bad. And I wore like Lululemon pants. So they wick away, sweat and water. So once I was out of the water, I wasn't like dripping wet, even though I had pants on. They dried pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right. All right, before we, because we want to run out of time, let's break down gear a little bit for you guys. Let's talk about some of the gear that you brought.
All right, so this is my packing list. Obviously, you're going to want hiking boots and water shoes. You absolutely want water shoes if you're going, because you want to be in the water. Yeah. I mean, were you guys in the water the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Because it was warm?
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's what I want. I want to go back when it's warm. Definitely hiking boots, obviously, for your hike in. A sun hat for your hike in as well. I like to wear nylon pants and nylon shorts for when I am hiking, because they, like I said, they wick away sweat and they are also comfortable for me. A lot of companies now that make hiking pants have started to make hiking tights for women, and they have made winter ones and summer ones. So that is something. So now I don't have to wear like more sports ones. I can wear specific ones for hiking that are a little bit thicker on the butt and the knees and things like that. You definitely have to bring a bathing suit.
Yes.
Do not forget your bathing suit. Even for me, when it was cold, I still had my bathing suit on because I still wanted to go and take my pictures in the waterfall. I would recommend a cotton shirt for the nighttime to change into, and a sports bra for the ladies, and a regular bra to change into at night as well. I like 1 to 2 long sleeve shirts. I brought a fleece shirt as well because it was cold when we were going. I also brought sweatpants, a warm hat, underwear. Don't forget your underwear. And they make camping underwear.
They do.
That keeps bacteria away and stuff like that. So you
dries super fast.
Yeah. And because all the campsites are by water too. So like our clothes got really muddy from hiking down to Mooney. So we actually had to clean them in the river and then dry them. And then when it comes to like your backpack stuff, obviously a backpack that fits you, like we had talked about, a tent. My favorite tent is North Face makes a really great 2-person tent, and it is so easy to put up. It's the things are color coded, so it's like you know where to put them in. It makes it really easy to set up and put away. A sleeping bag. My sleeping bag was a below zero sleeping bag, so even though it was so cold outside, I was comfy as a cucumber in that thing. A pillow, a small camping pillow that you can blow up, a sleeping pad that you can also blow up, a stove, like we said, fuel for your stove, and matches or a lighter for your stove. I take bowls and utensils. I like to use coffee mugs that are like camping coffee mugs, even as my bowl. So I bring 2. I bring one to drink out of and one to put my food in. And I just bring plastic utensils. My boyfriend has camping utensils, but I just bring like plastic ones. It's fine. 2 water bottles per person. Sunscreen. I like face wipes to like wipe my face, wipe my hands consistently. And batteries and a headlamp. You want a headlamp at night because there's no campfire and it gets so dark. I also have a really cool lantern that is the sun charges it, and it actually like folds up, and so it's nice because then it's like no space and you can open it up and it gives you guys some light.
Some people in our team had those as well, and that was
awesome.
Recommend.
Sunglasses, a chair. They make camping chairs that are really light, and it was really nice to have when we hiked to the falls, and then you can kind of like sit and relax and like check out the falls, and you have like a nice chair to sit in. A day pack, so whether it's a fanny pack or like a small string backpack, that way you can like bring your sandals if you want to wear your hiking shoes. You can bring snacks, water, extra sunscreen, camera gear, things like that. I bring a little towel. I didn't bring a big towel, but I brought a like one of those kind of terry cloth, like quick drying ones, and it was small, and so I brought that. And then my food. I think that's all I brought. I did end up buying chips from the store in the village because I was craving salt.
Yeah.
And I wanted like Doritos.
It's amazing how good, because I bought, they had the big pickles in the jar there too. It was like the best pickle of my life. It was like so, because we did that too. I was like, you do crave that. I won't repeat because much of my stuff was all the same. I will just say a little bit different in the summer. Some things you might not need is I didn't have a tent. So a lot of us just slept, like 2 people in our group had them. A lot of us didn't, and we just slept on our sleeping bags. And you, of course, don't need, we needed just a very light sleeping bag. I thought it actually might get cooler at night than it did. So I had like, long pants to sleep in my sleeping bag, and it was I could have done shorts and just the tiny, the lighter sleeping bag, and then
So you
sleeping
didn't
out.
even do a hammock?
No hammock. I just did a sleeping pad on the ground and my in the.
Oh my gosh,
in the
look
sleeping
at
bag.
you.
So yeah, we had 1 hammock in our group. But yeah, that was.
Where did you change then?
I'm sure I exposed myself to some people.
Because
I kind of didn't care.
I always change in the tent.
We kind of just went behind the tent, and at that point I just didn't really.
Yeah, you're
just
like,
tell everybody
whatever.
to turn around. Yeah,
That's so
it's
funny.
quickly how you just quickly lose, inhibitions. It's like, yeah, okay. I did also bring. You said head lamp. I had marked that. I brought, for my iPhone, I like the life-proof case so that I could actually take my phone down to all these falls too and not have to worry about, dropping it in, in the water or anything like that. So that was something that
GoPros
I would add.
are great for that.
GoPro.
Yeah, I didn't have the camera gear. Because I thankfully didn't have to bring camera gear, but the guys I was with brought tons of camera gear and GoPros or, something where you can get it wet because you want to be in the water. You want to get those waterfall pictures. And it's really wet. It's hard to tell, but a lot of water is coming off of it. And I was too scared to like take my phone down, but you want those pictures.
Yeah.
You do. It's what it's about.
Yeah. So just I'm sure someone in your group is the one like doing that, because it is fun to look back, and it also helps you when you get back to like retrace the trail like years from like, oh yeah. So I try to keep them all in order, like so I remember how it went
good.
down and stuff too.
And we should say, too, the bathrooms there at the campsite are not terrible.
No.
They're all compostable bathrooms, and they really take care of them.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And then right at the start of the campsite is a fry bread hut, and I recommend stopping there.
No, we tried, and it was closed because they also had like tacos and stuff, too, and we didn't get it was closed when we went back up there.
Oh, no,
But-
So if it is open, I mean, they open and close whenever they want because they're running it. But I would recommend it. Was amazing fry bread, and it feels like you're eating like something authentic, and they're making it for you. And it was. And I'm a vegetarian, and so they made vegetarian ones, and it was great.
And before we like wrap up, so any like last minute thoughts or just like overall experience or
I would say if you're thinking about doing it, do it. There are ways to helicopter in. You have to check the dates for that. But if you feel like if you can walk for 10 miles or 12 miles, you can do it, and it is really worth it. And it's so beautiful. And both of us want to go back, which is a testament to it. And it's hard, but it's an accomplishable hard, and it's just great. It's so beautiful, and I want to go back. So I would definitely recommend going and just plan your trip and be aware you are going to a Native American reservation. You have to pack out your trash. So just really be aware of like all those small, minute things that don't necessarily come with a normal campsite.
I agree, and just respect, what you're getting the chance to do. This is sacred ground for the tribe, and when you see it, you completely understand why, because you just can't help but feeling the majestic. It's just an overwhelming feeling when you see it. It's like that still these kind of things exist. I think we all get caught up in the day to day, and I know I do, like being connected to the phone, being in traffic, being annoyed by the LA city, and it was so good to just shut that all down and just be in awe of that place, and just have a time when you're just all you could do is just appreciate. And I just think it gives you an overall sense of gratitude for your life, for getting to have that experience, for the people that you're there with. And it just is a great, like, if you're just needing to get out and to, like, I think reset your life, or if you're going through something or anything, to me it's just a magical place to, like, have your thoughts on that trail, have your thoughts while you're sleeping under the beautiful stars, the turquoise water.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's cool because when you're there are no cars. The natives get around on horseback. You are really in a different place, and it feels so different. And yeah, there's like a special energy that's there, and yeah, it's really cool and worth it. And everyone that's there is there to experience nature and to experience this natural phenomenon. And yeah, and thankfully the Havasupai people have preserved it and have welcomed us in to come there. So it's really cool, and we should take advantage. And I felt fine paying because I'm like, thank you for having me as a visitor.
Too.
Like, please keep preserving it and keep us coming, because I think it's, as you go, you learn about it. And as you learn, you're now aware. And I think they were fighting like a lead mining thing or something. And I took the postcard and I sent it in for them.
Me too, right away. Yeah, I agree. You feel like whatever you can do to save, like something like,
Yeah.
That, yeah. And there were people of all ages. So you're not too old, you're not too young, you're not too whatever limitations you might be putting on yourself. There is a way, like you said, to figure out how to get it done. If you don't feel comfortable hiking your pack down, put that on the mule or hiking it up, or or if there's just ways. I saw all ages, people with walking stick and everybody's so nice and, enjoying. So just don't make excuses for yourself. If you want to go, I say find a way to make it happen and go.
And we're so lucky to live in America where we have national parks and we have these places that have been preserved, and we should take advantage of them because, not everywhere has these places and we need to preserve them. And so more people need to go and see them and see how special they are.
Yeah. Agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing
Thank you
your
for having
experience.
me.
If you guys have any questions, tweet it either one of us, because like you said, she's got the experience of going in there when it's colder. I got it when it was warmer. One stupid thing we did was we left to come out at 9:30 in the morning, so we were hiking. That final mile and a half stretch is a little treacherous, and we did that in the high heat. So don't do that. Just be aware of when you hike in and out of the canyon, and you'll be great and have an amazing experience. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you on the next show. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.